Welcome back. Registration is open now for this year's Women's Leadership Conference. And if your theme song is Beyonce's Who Runs the World Girls, then this is the conference for you. It'll be full of networking, learning, and inspiration from some of the most powerful businesswomen in the world. Here to talk more about it are Phyllis James, the president and CEO of the organization running the event, the Foundation for Women's Leadership and Empowerment, along with one of the women lending their voices to the conference. It's Raiders president Sandra Douglas Morgan. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Of course. So we're so happy to have you both. Phyllis, let's start with you. Tell us why this event, first of all, is still needed in 2023 and all of the things that are happening there.
Well, if you think about it, there's never been a more vital time for a conference like this. It is true that women have made tremendous strides in ascending to leadership positions across our society. But even after 100 years of trying, women are still underrepresented in key positions of leadership in our society, in business, in academia, in our own U.S. Congress, in other positions of elected office. Across the board, women are still not where they should be. So our conference has taken on the role of trying to develop more women and also men for leadership positions.
And we know that that can lead to issues because, you know, like attracts like. People are getting promotions by people who often look and act like them. So Sandra, your resume is beyond impressive. You're one of the women taking part in this conference. And of course you know she's the Raiders president, but just to go over some of the titles you've held, you have been the chairwoman of the Nevada Gaming Control Board, a Nevada State Athletic Commissioner, and you became the Chief Legal Officer for the City of North Las Vegas, becoming the first Black city attorney in the entire state, just to name a few. So at this conference, what do you hope to teach others who may pull some inspiration from you?
I really hope to share not only the successes, but not in that list are some of the failures that we had, right? I think it's important for that people really know it wasn't always an easy road and there's going to be challenges ahead. And there's also allies and supporters that look like men, women, and people of every different background. And it's important to really understand and get to know people. One position that you didn't mention was that about 15 years ago, I was actually a staff attorney at MGM Mirage, and walking through the doors and kind of going to those in-house council meetings, I saw Phyllis, and she was one, I think the only kind of Black woman in the legal department, and obviously ascended to do great things for that company. But you know, even though she was so far beyond my level, but I remember seeing her and thought, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so it was really important for me to be a part of this conference, the Women's Leadership Conference that'll be held at the MGM Grand, because not only of Phyllis's leadership, but I wouldn't have been where I am if I weren't able to see people like her in those roles. So I think paying it forward is really important. And the women that'll be at this conference will be at every stage of their career, and it's really important for us to connect and to be able to share our stories.
And I know you're taking part in a roundtable discussion. One thing I did want to ask you is, did you ever deal with imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you snap out of that?
You know, I think everyone has challenges. You know, there's me taking this role with the Raiders is something obviously that no one's ever looked like me has held, but we have to have faith in ourselves, have faith in our education and our processes and our experiences, and just know that you are just as qualified as anyone else to have that position. So are there twinges of doubt every now and then? Yes, but we have to continue to push through them and truly believe in ourselves and believe in our strong network to know that if it wasn't for Las Vegas and the great feedback I had, I know that the community supports me, and that's why a community and obviously our connections are so incredibly important, as well as the experience that we bring to the table.
Wonderful. And Phyllis, there are some key issues that the event will be focusing on. Can you talk about what some of those are, the core issues you'll address?
Well, our conference tries to address what I consider the 4 gaps that women face in ascending to leadership. first is aspiration and building confidence. And that is why it's so important for leaders like Sandra and the other women presidents who are going to be on our roundtable to be present, because we want to provide living symbols of highly successful women on the theory that if she sees it, she can be it. The other thing that we work on is building leadership competencies. It's so important to have the hard skills necessary for leadership. And lastly, the connection gap, networking gap. It is so important to develop a supportive network of people, whether they're peers or your seniors or people who you can just aspire to be like. And we provide that at our conference.
Wonderful. This is going to be such an amazing event. 2 days full of inspiration. We've got the information on your screen right now. There is still time to register September 18th and 19th at the MGM Grand Conference Center. The website is also there on your screen. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.